Let me be completely real with you for a second, because I want to talk about a specific kind of heavy feeling that nobody really puts a name to. It's that quiet sadness that doesn't look like a breakdown. You aren't crashing or crying every single day. You still go about your business, you joke around with people, and you look completely normal from the outside. You still laugh, you still go to school, and you still send snaps or sit in calls late into the night. But underneath it all, everything just feels entirely flat, and you can't even say why the day felt bad. Nothing terrible happened, but it still felt wrong. You get through the day, you do what you have to do, you come home, and you throw your bag on the floor. And if you've been sitting with that feeling lately, you know exactly what I mean. I'll give you my own perspective on this, because this year has honestly been the most unhappy I have ever been in my entire life. The exact moment the school term started, it felt like this massive weight just dropped onto my chest. Every single morning became a battle. You wake up, the alarm goes off, and you realize you have absolutely zero desire or will to go to school. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, feeling completely defeated before the day has even begun, before you finally drag yourself out of bed just to go through the motions. And the cycle only gets worse when the day ends. You push through the hours at school, you finally make it back home, and you feel so mentally drained that you just want to dilute the feeling. You want to numb the ache. I am a complete shut-in, so when I am not at school, I spend almost all of my time trapped at home. I would always rather stay inside playing video games, watching anime, or scrolling through YouTube instead of actually going outside. But what you don't realize when you are locked in your room is that your entire view of how life is supposed to be lived is being painted by the media you consume. You tell yourself you're just resting for 10 minutes, but suddenly it's completely dark outside, your room is a mess, your schoolwork is completely untouched, and you've just spent hours switching back and forth between different apps. Half the time, you aren't even enjoying what you are watching. You are just trying to make an evening disappear because you're weirdly numb. The dangerous part is that you subconsciously start viewing your actual life through the lens of those highly edited fictional standards. And reality simply cannot compete with that. That is the exact reason you feel so unhappy and bored all the time. Your entire view of reality has been warped and shaped by the content you ingest every day. Instead of making things better, it makes everything feel 10 times worse. You find yourself trapped on the screen, watching all these people who seem to be genuinely enjoying their lives, making progress, and living out their dreams while you are sitting alone in your room, feeling yourself slip to your absolute lowest point. For me, this distortion manifests in different ways. Every single time I am sitting in class and the teacher starts speaking, I completely detach from reality. I start creating these elaborate scenes in my head where I am the main character of the world having a massive, high-stakes Jujutsu Kaisen style fight, or I imagine this future where I suddenly make millions and buy a Lamborghini. My mind goes completely offline. Then, at the end of the day, I look around and say, life is so incredibly boring. I say that because the things I actually want to do are the impossible fantasies running through my mind. But before you start using this media as a mirror for how your own life should look, you have to realize how toxic that is. Thinking a 19-year-old is supposed to be driving a supercar is a completely broken and unrealistic way to look at your existence. Another massive illusion we fall for is the conditional happiness trap. People are always saying, once I get this specific thing, I will finally be happy, or after I finally leave school, my real life will start and I'll be fine. We treat our milestones like a child waiting for a new toy, but that is simply not how human psychology works. Yeah, when you finally get the thing you wanted, you will feel a spike of excitement for a little while, but eventually your brain adapts. You inevitably drop right back down to your baseline, normal state of mind. The only actual difference is that you now have a new toy sitting in your room. As corny as it sounds, you cannot tie your happiness to material possessions or external conditions. You have to find a way to cultivate it from within yourself. We look at this kind of routine and we think it's just stress, or that we're just tired. But a huge amount of the unhappiness we carry comes down to the fact that the lives we are living every day simply do not feel good to experience. Our habits are completely trashed, our sleep is completely broken, and we are constantly trying to use cheap digital distractions to run away from a reality that we don't want to look at. We don't need more stimulation. We need a life that doesn't make us feel like garbage the exact second the room gets quiet. You cannot spend all day feeding your brain digital junk and then act surprised when real life starts tasting completely bland. You can't appreciate your life properly when your head feels like a browser with 50 different tabs open at the same time. So, how do we actually break out of this cycle and feel happy? Let's be clear. I am absolutely no expert. I am just a guy sharing the exact adjustments that made my own life a little bit better. First, and this should really go without saying, you need to take an aggressive break from YouTube, anime, and the fictional shows you are watching. You have to cut off the source of the noise so that your brain can stop directly comparing your raw everyday life to a highly polished screen. When the first thing you do in the morning or the last thing you do at night is jump straight into a screen, you are teaching your brain that normal life is too slow unless it comes with a glowing rectangle and 5 things happening at once. It completely ruins your reward system. Second, you have to give yourself the time and space to actually slow down. You need to start taking walks outside without plugging any music into your ears, or just sit in a completely quiet place and focus entirely on what is happening right around you. You need to practice being present in the physical world. Boredom is not your enemy. Sometimes boredom is the exact thing that brings your brain back to life and lowers your baseline of stimulation. Finally, you need to start doing things that are completely real. Watching someone else live isn't living. You need real things anchored into your day, a real workout, a real conversation, a real walk, or a solid hour where your phone is completely out of your hands. One of the biggest reasons you feel so stuck and unhappy right now is because your life feels completely motionless. The same routines, the same late nights, the same empty promises to change tomorrow. You don't need a massive overnight success to feel better. You just need daily, concrete proof to yourself that your life is moving forward. It means finishing your schoolwork before the night is dead, or actually working on your own creative projects instead of just escaping into daydreams. It is incredibly difficult to feel happy when you don't respect your own routine, or when your actions don't match up with your intentions. That gap slowly builds massive frustration in the background because your mind is trying to live in 2 different directions at once. One part of you knows you should be studying, building, or improving, while the other part just wants the easiest possible relief in the moment. Every time you choose the easy escape, you reinforce a pattern that destroys your self-respect. So stop asking yourself how to feel amazing all the time and start asking a much better question. How do I build a life that I don't constantly need to run away from? I'll see you in the next one.